Raymond Roussel's texts are astonishing for reasons that verge on the absurd. Yes, the texts express a certain absurdity, but what feels most absurd are the seeds these texts plant. Roussel does not weave an intricate tale in which complex characters, when faced with profound choices and/or astonishing events, reveal the dark corners of their psychology. Roussel offers a glimpse at what is to come from the very first years of the 20th century to date, when the art of writing plugs directly into the mind's most far-reaching meanderings. The result is interwoven, colorful, detailed, instantaneous inscriptions of events, neither fictive nor real, that are anchored down by moorings of resonant literary language. Familiarity is accompanied by foreignness when reading Roussel, and now, more than a century from when he wrote, a wide-ranging historicity vibrates forth. Yuan asked me to address the relationship between Roussel, procedural writing, and the Oulipo in 4 minutes. No. Procedural writing demands a sensitivity to both language and the history of literary form, of which we catch a glimpse in Roussel's first published work, La Doublure, or The Double, published in 1897 and not considered one of his best works. Roussel calls this text a novel because, as he states in the preface, and I quote, "It must start on the first page and end on the last." A mocking, yet procedural opening gambit. The Double, however, is written completely in rhymed classical verse, the famed French Alexandrine. A novel written in classically structured Alexandrines belongs to the genre of novels written in verse, such as Homer's Iliad, Pushkin's Eugene Onegin, and Nabokov's Pale Fire. And in my research, I found that in the late 19th century and into the 20th, there are more and more, actually numerous novels written in verse. So there was something going on there. As a 19-year-old writer, Roussel declares loudly with The Double that when he writes, there are no limits, no traditional yardsticks, mechanisms, or literary genres. Nothing is safe. Published posthumously after July 14, 1933, Roussel's text Comment j'ai écrit certains de mes livres, How I Wrote Some of My Books, explains with detail procedures he used to invent many of his texts. Roussel shares literary techniques he used to write short contes, or legends. These unique techniques, which can be thought of as constraints, are actually puns resembling what he calls the metagram, a word game or sort of punning technique in which one letter of a word is replaced by another, producing a word that sounds the same but has different meaning. Once the metagram is concocted, Roussel wrote 2 sentences using each of the words, and those 2 sentences serve as the first and last sentences of the legend he was writing. Even in The Double, the beginning and the ending of the novel contain very similar verses. In his text, Roussel states clearly that he chose to share this technique, which he did posthumously, in order to allow future authors to use it as they see fit. This is a goal that the Oulipo has also adopted. Marcel Benabou, a member of the Oulipo since 1970, published a response to Roussel's text that he entitled Why I Have Not Written Any of My Books, in which he shares with his readers other techniques that he uses to liberate himself from writer's block. He contends that literature itself, its own word games, variations, inventiveness, and inherent collaborations are the source of his creations, which explains why he purports to not having written any of his books. His books are latent and integral to pre-existent literature. For both writers, Benabou and Roussel, procedures are necessary and cunning paths to literary invention. To conclude, it seems obvious to me that the group Oulipo, formed 57 years ago, and whose website is ulipo.net, is indebted to the way in which Roussel conceived of and created literary works. Further evidence of this influence is a journal called Locus Solus, the title of Roussel's second novel, edited by Harry Matthews, a member of the Ulipo, who just passed away, and Kenneth Koch, a colleague of John Ashbery's. Roussel's use of procedural writing leads to a heightened consciousness. Hello? Okay. Leads to a heightened consciousness of artistic materiality, space, light, and vision. And by digging deep into the prefabrication or the refabrication, the representation, the representation of the visual and not the psychological, Roussel's creative posture foreshadows poses taken by surrealist authors as well as those of the Nouveau Roman. His procedural writing is only one of his contributions to contemporary aesthetics, a contribution to which today we pay all respect.